Welcome to Charted Territory, the podcast where personal growth meets adventure. Join us, Viki and Kimmy, lifelong best friends and business partners, as we use human design as a map to navigate the uncharted paths of life. Together, we'll explore how to align with your true self and live a life filled with clarity, purpose, and flow. Whether you're feeling lost, curious, or ready for change, we're here to inspire, entertain, and guide you with practical insights, playful conversations, and plenty of laughs. Let the adventure begin. Welcome back to another episode of Charted Territory, a podcast about human design. My name is Kimmy. I'm a 6'2" emotional projector, and today I'm joined by...
I'm Viki Garcia, and I'm a 2/4 self-projected projector.
And this is Hoppy. He is my dog, and he is part of today's session. If you're watching on video, you're going to get to see him the entire time. So if I were you, I would go watch it, but that's obviously up to you. So today we are diving into part 3 of our Behind the Chart series, where we dive into my human design chart. In the first 2 episodes, we saw my energy type, my authority, my strategy. We've talked about my defined centers, and today we're going to dive into my channels, my gates, and also my variables. If you are listening to this, there is a double incentive to go over to YouTube and watch this episode. It's not only my adorable dog Hoppy, who is sleeping right next to me, but also in this episode, we're going to go through my chart. So visuals, if you're not super familiar with human design terminology, you might find looking at the charts in some aspects easier. So I recommend doing that if you want to. I'm so excited that we're doing this in person.
Yeah, I finally made it to Dubai because otherwise we weren't going to finish this series. So I had to come. So then we
had
could
no
do
other
this.
option.
No other option. Such a shame. No, I'm super happy to be here actually. So, yeah. You know, this is us trying to get a good quality of sound, not actually knowing what we're doing. So.
Yes, we don't know anything about podcast creation or production. We're literally winging it. We're just 2 awesome ladies with 2 in their profile line,
like best friends,
which, you know, no, but also we have 2 2 in our profile lines, which means we are the easy breezy genius. So we just figure things out, you know, like we're just here making shit happen.
Also, we do whatever, and like that's it.
Yeah. So let's dive into the chart. Do you mind just angling the computer a bit towards me so I can see a bit better? Thanks, friend.
I'm gonna do that.
Obviously, I'm gonna be putting the visuals on the screen on the video. So
they look amazing, don't they?
Thanks. They do look amazing. Okay, so channels. Da-da-da-da.
Okay, so we are gonna go through your channels today. This is really interesting because Kimmy already had a kind of good human design base on the part of like the energy type, their needs, and all these things. So probably the first part was the most kind of already known for her. Then we went a little bit further on exploring her centers, like the different relationship between those, and like also that part of the podcast. Although, of course, we were talking about her, but like we also talked a lot about like your experience, things that may be relatable for other people. We also contrasted a lot like how the centers act differently, being defined or undefined, like the differences and all these kind of things and all these kind of questions that we a lot of times have or get. And what else? And so now we are actually diving in the most specific aspects that make you you. Yeah. So I think you're gonna adore it. And
and we ever, I think we have talked about it here and there.
Yeah, a little bit maybe.
But I'm really interested, and I know that also since the last time we talked about it, you've gained also so much more knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, so it's also so interesting because like as you also grow as a reader and, you know, as a human as well, because I also just think that you, and this is true, I really truly believe this, you are like, you studied, you know, you went through a course to be a reader, but also I truly believe that you have a gift and that you're able to see things that it's not just about the technical knowledge. I think there's more than that. So I'm so excited.
Thank you very much. That's so nice to say. Thank you. Also, and shouted here to my amazing clients and everybody that has gone through a session with me, because also I'm gaining so much more knowledge and so much experience through the understanding and like engaging into the conversations and having the feedback of everyone who has jumped into a session with me.
Yeah.
And like all this
It's also a skill.
Yeah. Also
way, right?
provides so much more.
Right.
So seeing the different things and how the different aspects and how different people resonate with different things, like that's an amazing process, and that's giving me also so much more than like just reading the aspects. And
yeah, Hoppy was scared too.
Yeah, it's like, what's happening?
It was a bit scary.
Okay, so that gives you so much more.
Yes.
Okay, so now we are gonna start from the beginning. And the thing is, like, for example, in my reading, so this is personal. I don't know if every human design reader does it or not.
Who
but, like,
cares?
I like to see which of the channels are the most imprinted with energy. And so how they relate with each other, if there are more or not so many gates, or like the gate that conforms the channel is activated more than one time or not. So all these kind of different things. So in your particular case, the first channel, or the channel that I think is the most prominent in your case, is the channel of transformation, which bridges the root with the spleen, as we can see here. And that's because it's a conscious energy in both of the gates that conform that channel. So you will probably relate to that one. And this channel of transformation, here I'm reading my notes, okay, because I always make notes, and afterwards I like to hand them to my clients and everything. It's handwritten, but like, you know, it's
it's handwritten, so no one can actually read the notes, but you get them when you get a reading.
Exactly. It's like a, how do you call that?
It's
like
a
hieroglyphicos?
Yeah, like a hieroglyphs.
Yeah, like the hieroglyphs.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. It just adds a little more challenge to the
exactly. Like if you really want to dive deep, like you gotta try your best and understand, because I have like really, you cannot read my spelling a lot of times, but like, okay, it's perfectly right. So the thing is, this channel, because it connects the spleen with the root, is that you have an instinct to thrive, and also like an ambition on the material plane. So there's this pressure that comes from the root center, because, you know, like root center is always a center of pressure, as we talked in the previous part. And so this pressure that builds from the root is also connected to the spleen, which is instinct, you know, and so you have a really good intuitive and instinctual knowledge, and also like thrive or desire, let's say, to be prosperous on like the material and tangible plane. So this can have like many phases. So again, now it's phases. I did it right, isn't it?
Faces.
Yeah.
Like a face.
Yeah, like a face.
Not a phase.
Okay. I never get it right. Like the other day I said it the other way around. Now I'm saying it the other way around again. It doesn't matter. Like, so it can have different phases. So success, or like even success in the material plane, can look something different to each of us, you see. But at the same time, it's true that like you are an ambitious person. Like you want to thrive in these material and tangible aspects, let's say.
Yeah.
In fact, you have like this pressure that it's not only like, but it's like a pressure to excel. So be excellent in those particular things. And it's related, as we are saying, like to the material, to the tangible, to the finances. And this is also, do you resonate with that? Like,
oh yeah, 100%. Like to the point where I think that even, and is this conditional, just like society or whatever, but I feel almost bad about the amount of ambition that I have, or like the level of things that I want, because it feels it feels selfish.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
You know, it feels like I'm being greedy.
We will talk about that in another episode. I think that in fact we had this idea of talking about like selfishness, like providing for yourself, and like wanting things for oneself, is it actually selfish, or can it be something generous? Like on the first hand, you are not being this kind of like, you are providing for yourself, so you are not lacking something that you gotta get from another person, first place. And second part, like you can provide for others and like bring something different, if you have these resources. So it's also like, either like, it doesn't matter if it's in the material plane, but again, if I have certain resources, if I have certain capabilities, I can provide for others too. In fact, also that energy is entered into the channel. So it has to do with transformation and like bringing transformation into their lives, but also those who are around them. So that's why it's called the channel of transformation. And of course, like it's not a transformation for the worse, like we are aiming at transformation for the better.
So what you're saying is that through my ambition, I can or will or transform the lives of others.
Yeah, it also has to do with the will to make an impact. It's a channel of abundance. And at the same time, I also think that it's really interesting to understand that we are actually living a life which is full of abundance, and there's like no lack, no scarcity whatsoever. So we have been living in this paradigm where we believe that there's a scarcity of resources, and that if we don't compete for that, like we are gonna fall behind and we are gonna be left out, and like ultimately we are not gonna be able to survive. And like that's why wars, because of power, territory, resources, and every kind of thing, you know. The thing is, like, if I feel infinitely abundant, why would I ever see another human being as competition? Like if we can have fully both of us, and all of us. So coming together and building a community and doing this, and this is really interesting, but like the channel, this particular channel is tribal. So it has everything to do with the tribe. So it's not only providing for me, but it's like, how can we make an impact into the collective in this abundance aspect, the material plane, the resources. So it's really real, it's really tangible in that sense, you know. But it's not about providing only for me, it's because I want the tribe, the collective, the community, like to thrive substantially. So it has to do with that. Also, it brings you this kind of like inherent understanding of transformation. So transformation understood like as a process, so you understand really good, like intuitively, how things work, like the process of things, process of life, processes inside of people, like processes, all kind of processes, let's say. And so you are really able to adapt to changing circumstances because of that. So you kind of like see what is going to happen before it even happens, and you kind of like intuitively, instinctively know, okay, time for change, or we are changing this, or we are doing that, or da 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 da, because this process is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we're in step 3 and we want to avoid 5, like we gotta, you know, like take ourselves out of this situation, or like whatever. So you kind of understand that, and you are really good at spotting also like potential, talent, opportunity for growth, for improvement. So again, it has everything to do with this. It's also like this understanding of how gathering different kinds of resources can give you and provide you this kind of excellence and this thriving in the community. And it has to do with ambition in the, like, for example, material, financial plane, but also like being recognized into the community. And it's a projected channel. So again, and like because of how you are wired, you wouldn't like to be recognized on that. Like for example, so I'm scared of being greedy. So at the same time, you know, like the even the channel is directing you to a place of like, yeah, I want to be recognized, I want to thrive, I want to have all these resources, but not only for me.
Yeah.
See, so, and again, so this is like this will, or this desire to transform the world into something more. So again, more and more abundance, that's it. The thing to be careful with is restlessness or dissatisfaction. because it can seem like it's never enough.
Mm-mm.
Like you never get satisfied. So it's like kind of like insatiable appetite for this kind of thing. And because of the thing that we were saying, that you really understand process and transformation, and it's also a tribal channel, you know how to surround yourself with people who help you to realize your potential. So that's also really important for you. So being in an environment where the people that are around you realize your potential and also connect you with that potential, it's really important. So people that appreciate and value you and your work and like what you can do, like and at the same time you have this understanding, subconscious understanding in a way, but also conscious, that if you surround yourself with the right people, that equals to success. Because you know it's thriving, but it's thriving through the community, thriving through the collective too. Again, what we were saying, you recognize uncertainty and insecurity in the now, and you focus on how do we solve this, like how we make this uncertain scenario into something that actually puts us one step ahead, or like, or we can move forward. And you have this intuitive knowledge and understanding of who of those around you can better support you in the different processes you are actually in or involved in. Again, ambition, also recognition. So it's this pressure of excellence that at the same time always pushes you into self-improvement. So you are really concerned with being better each and every time. And again, you want to do something big and create an impact, something that is powerful and valued and recognized, so that you can feel successful that way. And at the same time, you know your value and your worth. But the other thing to be careful with is like, what are my true desires? Like, what is my true ambition? So not falling into what other people may be expecting of you, or like frivolous desires that are introduced into you like by society or things like that, but more like, how does this ambition actually connect inside of me? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And this is particularly important with an emotional authority as you have, because there's no truth in the now. You can have like temporary desires that are not actually like your truest ambitions. So you have to be discerning of that, and also always contrast with your authority. Like, do I really want this? Do I really need this? Do I really want to like go through certain processes to achieve certain things? Like, do I really 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 feel like I want this in my life? Is this my truest ambition? Also because this is a projected channel, so you have to be invited into a lot of things to be able to, you know yeah, you have a lot of projectedness. I'm sorry, baby. I think all of your channels are actually projected. So yeah,
Good.
following your strategy is super important in this particular case, and you're gonna see how all of these channels are also super connected between them. And it's funny because like you have these two different energetic centers, the he connected to the throat, and then the solar plexus connected to the root, connecting to the spleen. But these two channels of like the root to the spleen, and again the solar plexus to the root, are also like closely related, because this other channel is the channel of recognition. This one is the one that connects the root with the solar plexus, and as you can see, there's a part of the energy there that is conscious, and there's another part that is subconscious. So this one has to do with recognizing your emotions and your desires during the course of experiencing something. So it's like an energy of being really grounded into what you feel all the time during an experience. Um, Again, it's really strictly or closely related with your emotional authority. It has everything to do with your emotional side. Also, and this is really important, we will see that later in the variables, but you have feeling cognition. So your emotions and your feelings are a really important thing to you. Like we've already talked about that in the podcast. But, and again, and this is also the thing, like the paradox, you see, it happens once and again, and this duality of like, I really struggle with this, but it's your superpower. So you really have to get to this understanding and acceptance and putting everything into place so that you can really thrive on that thing that makes you so you, so that you can help all the things actually express themselves as they really are and with all their power and all their capacity to shine. So here, for example, you have this gate 41, which is this one in the root, uh, and then gate 30. And the gate 41 is the constant pursuit of experiencing new feelings. So again, pressure. So root center is all about pressure. It's like, come on, pressure.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I feel like I'm always thinking about the next thing.
Yeah.
Or like, what more, not more, yeah, more, what more can I do, but not in a like, because I feel like I need to do more, but because I want to experience so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's the impulse to do something new. So from the root comes this pressure to do, find something exciting, something new, something exciting, something that can give me something new, like this newness, this excitement of the new thing. And gate 30, which is in the solar plexus, is this one that's like really thirsty. It has a lot of desires and yearnings, and it's always looking for something more, but without really knowing what it wants. So how do you say caprichosa in English?
There isn't.
There isn't a word. I think there's also a word that I love in Spanish that it's veleidosa. I don't know if that exists in English too, but like, yeah, like it
Because
doesn't know.
capricho translates to the word desire.
Okay.
And it's not really that. I
No,
mean, it
it's not
is,
really
but it's
that.
not, because it's desiring something that you don't necessarily need. It's kind of like, oh, I'm going to get myself this sweet treat. I don't need it, but I want it.
Yeah, but also not only capricho in the sense of like I may not need it, but even though I want it, but also like I can want one thing one moment and the other thing the another.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can figure it, like I can change my mind from one moment to another. So now I want it pink, now I want it blue, and maybe I want both. So this kind of feeling of like, okay, so again and again and again. So that's this 30 gate that it's here. And it's funny because it's your only gate that is actually defined in your solar plexus. So it's this changing, I want things and desires and gate. And that one is the one that actually makes you an emotional being because there's no other gates there. Like not even gates, let's not go into channels, but not even other gates. So it's really interesting that that's the gate that actually makes you an emotional being. Only that one. So there's this push to follow your desires, which at the same time can be something super powerful and super interesting and that really connects you with yourself. But, and here I know that you kind of struggle with this thing that we were just talking about of like the same of being greedy or the same of wanting these things or the same of, because like, you know, societally speaking, someone may be watching and not liking my desire or whatever, but you are so connected to that, or you should be like. So the understanding and acceptance of like what I'm feeling, what I'm wanting right now, it's really crucial for you to actually navigate your way to what you really are meant to be and become. So does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Well, it's subconscious, isn't it?
It's subconscious.
So I struggle
Yeah.
with it a bit.
Yeah, also because the gate, it doesn't look like something good to have.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. But I think it's actually super like I was doing my notes when I was writing all down. I was like, that's actually super interesting because we sometimes don't recognize the power that it has to actually know your desires. And that's actually a super really feminine trait to have in a way. So maybe that's why also, because you have a lot of masculine conscious energy in your design imprinted in your different gates, as we have seen more than once. And maybe you struggle with that because of that, like to really be on the flow of this connected channels that connect your root with your solar plexus and with your spleen. You have to really like be really acceptant of that part of like, yes, I want all these things. Like I really want them.
Yeah.
And so that's really feminine on one side, but it's like, yeah, it can be a struggle to accept that.
Yeah.
However, it's important that you do so.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be like the tip, or the advice would be like, be acceptant of all these things that you really want and that you desire. It doesn't matter if it's like today and tomorrow and and whatever. Like for example, or like or there are other desires that can be really really clear, like this, I want this house in the middle of the valley.
Mountains.
Yeah, in the mountains.
Well, in a valley, yes.
Yeah, in a valley.
Yes.
With my dogs and my horses and animals and like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, but it sometimes can appear to be insatiable or restless. So again, it's the same thing in both channels, like in the channel that connects to your spleen and also in the channel that connects to your solar plexus. So the good side is the same thing. It's knowing what you desire and your ambition and accepting that and like going for it. And at the same time, it's like, be careful not to fall into the restlessness or like, I need more, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not getting enough. So it's this abundance versus scarcity theme, like a lot in between all those tenders. You gotta recognize what you truly feel during that process of seeking different experiences and everything. And this cycle happens once and again. And what is really important is like, independent of the result, you are gaining this emotional awareness and emotional experience of how do you experience things throughout that process. And this can sometimes lead to sometimes unrealistic fantasies, like this kind of channel, but this is compensated, and we will see that later, because you have a really interesting gate that it's the gate 60 of acceptance, and this is also subconscious energy. So one balances the other out. So because this gate is so much about like desire and wanting and everything, it can be like a really huge fantasy that it's not really real or accessible or like realistic in a way. But this other gate balances that out, and in fact it's also actively imprinted or activated in your chart. So that makes this kind of like, okay, I'm gonna even things out. Let's dream but be realistic. So let's know our limitations in a way. Right. So you recognize that more. Mm-hmm. And again, this is a wisdom gaining process, an awareness gaining process, because it's all about being connected to your emotions, your feelings, all throughout through that processes, those process of like yearning and desiring and wanting to go into something new and getting a new experience and all the feels that makes you feel. So again, and this is the really interesting thing about it, it's not about the outcome, it's about all the emotional awareness that you gain through that process of desiring. And that's also really
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, okay. So I don't know why, like how I said it, but like it's not so much about the outcome, but about all the emotional wisdom that you gain through that process of desiring and yearning and going for it, and also having disillusions and like, so all the emotional waves that carries for you.
Wow, are you saying my emotional waves are giving me wisdom?
Yeah. That's the thing that I always say. But what I'm saying is that even more precious than the you itself, let's say it would be a you. It's not the you, but what you get from the process of wanting to obtain it that gives you even more. So, and again, going back to where we were before, yeah, this is all about the material plane, but how material is it if it has to do with my emotions? So at the end, it's a kind of like transformation, material process, wanting or yearning for something material, but also not material, and da 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 da. But it's not that I want this chair, it's the process that I go through to gain this chair, or like this house, or the car, or the jewel, or, and I know you are not a lot about those things, you know, like it doesn't matter if you actually at the end of the process get to get that thing,
Okay.
either material or not, but you are gaining all this emotional awareness and wisdom through that process. And this correlates also with your, for example, with your profile. So your 6-2 profile about being a role model and everything has to do with that. So there will come a time in your life where all that experience will provide you with the thing that you need to provide for others.
So I have this need to need things, and I have all these desires, and the needing those things is what's going to teach me things that I will then share with the world later.
Yeah.
Cool.
Emotionally.
Actually, that's really interesting because it makes me feel like
good. We are starting a nice sentence there.
It makes me feel like, one, it's okay if I don't reach all of my goals.
Important. The shadow part of these channels, as we are seeing, like needing more, wanting more, maybe it's not enough. Okay, good.
And it shows me that, I mean, this is super cliche, but it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And just like really fucking enjoy the journey then.
Yeah.
Because the journey is the thing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And actually I do feel like, for example, us coming to Dubai was very much in that kind of vein, because for me, I had really nothing to gain coming here. You know, like I didn't really want to. Starting over is hard. Starting a new business is hard. Like it would have been so much easier to just stay in Valencia. But I was telling someone we were meeting this morning, like the only thing keeping me from doing it was fear.
Yeah.
And I do have, and at the same time, you know, when Matt was like, oh, let's go to Dubai, in my mind, what was I feeling? Excitement, because it's new and all these, and I was like thinking about all the experiences that we were going to have here that were just different from the ones that, you know, we were having in Spain. So, but yeah, not doing something because of fear seemed like a pretty silly thing. But ultimately, the knowledge and the experiences, the knowledge that I gained through the experiences that I have in my life are the experiences that I carry with me in my backpack that then I can share later.
Yeah. And you will.
And I will.
Yeah.
Wait till I'm 50. Okay. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I just turned 34, so, you know, still a few years to go, but
yeah. And also, and this is like a self-fulfilling channel in that sense, through that emotional wisdom gaining process, you will eventually come to really tune in like a lot with what you truly desire and what you truly want. So that process of like, I desire something, I'm not really sure, I go through the process, I get all these emotional different sides of the thing and the process, and and then finally I come or not come to the outcome that I was expecting at the beginning or whatever, and everything that gave me actually prepares me so that the next time I better actually know what I really truly want. So you are coming closer and closer and closer, and you are like kind of narrowing the alley to what you truly desire. So that emotional wisdom is actually also giving you this awareness or this discernment of like, when there's a possibility for something, do I really want it or not? And this is also really important, like for you. And again, it's important for you that like through your process you will be able to provide a lot of wisdom to others in the future too. Then, coming to a beautiful end of all this, the channel of the prodigal.
Wow.
And that's the channel that we share. It's also called the channel of the podcast. That's why we're doing this.
It's not a joke. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, it's not a joke. Like it might seem like that because how I say things, but it's actually not a joke. That's why we're doing it. And
What is this channel?
This is totally subconscious. This one reaches your Yi center to your throat. And so this is the funny part too. Like this is your emotional wisdom gaining channels that are connecting your spleen to your root to your solar plexus and everything. And then we are talking about this and this process of like, okay, and then I'm meant to share it. And so then there comes in this beautiful channel that is all about sharing. So this is the channel that I like to call it like the channel of the bonfire, like for example, when, I don't know, like in the old days, okay. So
the channel of the bonfire.
Yeah, like sharing around a bonfire. Like for example, in the old days that people would gather together, and so the how would you say, like the old ones,
The elders.
Yeah, like the elders would tell stories to the community so that everybody could learn from that. And so that's a beautiful energy to have. And so it's this channel that actually makes people really comfortable coming to you and sharing their stories. At the same time, you gain a lot of personal and not personal, intrapersonal or interpersonal experience through life. And then you share that with other people. Mm-hmm. So again, this aligns really beautifully with your profile line 6, and it also has to do a lot with this energy that we are talking about, gaining all this experience and emotional awareness and emotional wisdom, so that then I can share it. So this happened to me. This happened to a person that I knew. This happened, and this sharing of stories bring us together. And again, it's a really collective energy, community energy, sharing energy, projected energy. So, and you have to be invited into all these things. So there's no point sharing with someone that actually really doesn't care. And you're gonna know that people care because they are gonna recognize you and like value you and make you feel worthy and this kind of thing. So that's everything. So those are your 3 channels. So that's what makes you you. Now, knowing this and how all they interrelate together, how do you feel about that?
I feel like that's me.
You feel that like that's you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's gate 13, the listener. And you are a good listener. That's why people come to you to share those stories. And then gate 33, reflect on that experiences, gain wisdom, and then share with community. So again, you see how everything works together as a puzzle where all aspects enhance each other.
Yeah.
And also balance each other out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of it all. And then now we are heading to your gates, where you have firstly the gate 38 of the fighter, which is imprinted consciously and 2 times subconsciously too, and this one is in the root. So again, you know that you have a lot of energy in the root. That's why your pressure, like your pressure to do things, your pressure to your pressure to excel, your pressure to your pressure to deliver, your pressure to do, your pressure to gain, your everything. So and this is really funny too, but like this one is about success through struggle. That's why it's called the fighter. Yeah, it's like I gotta fight for things, I gotta do that. And like it also carries kind of like a stubborn energy to it, because it's this fighting. So I'm gonna stand my ground no matter what. Like I'm gonna be here and fight for what I want and for what I believe and all these things. So the important part here is like knowing what's worth fighting for, so that you don't exhaust yourself fighting for things that are actually not worth it for you. So again, emotional wisdom. So is this worth fighting for? Like, am I fighting for something that actually I don't care about? So what's the point? See, so all these things. And you are what we call like a natural born warrior. And this is also beautiful, and I think this represents you a lot. But it carries kind of like an independent kind of energy to it, in the sense of like, um, you are not conditioned by external influences or pressures.
Oh,
So
for sure.
so that's the fighter. Like, no, I don't believe in this, and I believe in that, and da 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 da, and I'm gonna fight for it. It's like, yeah, like William Wallace, Braveheart kind of vibe. Like, yeah, Braveheart, let's be free. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and also just like in the small stuff. I've never really been very influenced by outer things. Like even as a child, there would be anyone who has been a kid or has kids knows like there are these trends when you're kids. Like when I was a kid, things that were in were like Pokemon cards and I don't know, certain like okay, actually a very specific example. When I was a teenager, Converse were really popular.
Yes, true. I remember.
Everyone had Converse shoes.
Mm.
I've never owned a pair of Converse shoes.
No, I love them. Converse doesn't pay us for like
Not
saying
sponsored.
this. No,
Hashtag not sponsored.
But we could be. Like, we're open. Yeah, that really represents you, but under my opinion. And then what we were seeing, this gate 60 of acceptance, that is the one that I tell you that balances this gate in particular, gate 30, and so, but also all the channel. So gate 60 of acceptance. And this one is, and it's funny because it balances that one out in the fact of like, this one has like realistic expectations about things, and is also realistic about limitations of things. So can we actually do this? Because if not, there's no point. Like, and like you are really pragmatical in that sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this gate also carries the energy of wanting to leave a long-lasting change and impact into the world. So that's one related with the other channel. So it balances one out and at the same time complements the other one. But again, and so it's like, okay, so how are we gonna do that? Like, that's why it's the gate of acceptance too. So how do we do that? How do we leave that long-lasting impact and change into the world? We have to be realistic, because if we can do it, amazing. But if we can't, this is not worth fighting for. Like, we are wasting our valuable resources into something that is not even gonna come into being. So let's put our resources into something that is actually fructiferous.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Okay.
That seems extremely logical to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then you have gate 42 of growth, and this one is really interesting. I think this one is really interesting.
Actually, I'd like to share a story about all this.
Go
because
ahead.
Before moving to Dubai, I had a business in Spain selling water filters, and I also actually had a podcast about sustainability. And if you're into sustainability and you speak Spanish, I recommend it. It's called La Ecologista Imperfecta. There's maybe like 30 or 40 episodes, and they're all about very different topics, and it's exactly that, right? Where I have this need to change the world when I kind of realized, the ecological problems. To me, the solutions seem so obvious, but it's frustrating to me that these things are not being put in place and that no one is doing anything about it. So what do? Then I share the practical, easy things that anyone can do that do make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I didn't focus on like beach cleans or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
let's make every corporation aware that they cannot use plastics.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, okay, what are the things that we can do individually, small things that are easy, that do make a difference, and just trying to share those, hoping that people would find it inspiring and want to do that 1%.
Yeah.
Because I believe that a lot of people doing 1% or 2% or 50% is better than no one doing
100%.
100%.
Which is actually equals to 0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So isn't one person doing 1% better than 100% of people doing 0%?
Yeah.
Or 100% or no one doing 100%.
Yeah.
So to me it's just so obvious, and especially in like the sustainability space, there's so much like hate, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, if for example right now,
But
we
also
have
talk about
these
it.
we
Yeah.
have these to-go cups.
Yeah, and the
so-
all or nothing
and
thing.
exactly, and someone could be like, oh my god, but I thought you were into the environment and you have a to-go cup, like you don't care about the environment. And I'm like, I also live in a society, and I also know it's unrealistic to hold myself to that standard of being perfect 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And actually someone asked me the other day, since you've moved to Dubai, how do you feel being someone that's so environmentally conscious? And I'm like, look, like honestly, I'm struggling, you know, like it's hard to be here and like not seeing recycling, and it's a very wasteful city. Like even just the concept of a city in the middle of the desert, and the amount of resources and like resources in general, like power, water, like that it takes to just live in the city,
And also waste.
It's like, you know, so I need to accept that that is the way it is.
Yep.
And it's exactly that. It's not worth fighting. Not that it's not worth fighting for, but I know it's not a fight that I can win on my own.
Yeah.
So
it's a more intelligent and more efficient use of your energetic resources to focus on something else that you can actually actionate upon.
Exactly.
So for example,
yeah, because I could stand in the middle of the Burj Khalifa with a sign that says, Dubai, make less waste. But like, that's
with
so
a sign
stupid.
that actually is gonna end up in the bin.
Like, that's so dumb. Like, that is not a thing that is going to make any difference. You know? And you could argue, well, but if you do it enough, and if you get enough people, like all movements are started by one person. Yeah,
but you can also do that through, you know, like sharing the information. So, for example, what you do is trying to make informed choices and conscious picking. What, like, for example, what do you clean your house with? What kind of products you use? What kind of, like, so for example, we are having takeaway cups today because that's what they gave us. Like, in fact, I even asked for a cup, like a real actual cup,
and they didn't give it to you.
They told me that they had to go and look for it in another place so that I could bring it. So I was like, okay, yes, put it in and take away, and that's it. So, and of course, like we can improve, but I and at the same time we are carrying our own water bottles so that we don't have to be, you know, like buying a water bottle out there, like a plastic water bottle or whatever. But it's this thing of like I'm choosing where to fight for the things actually, and like where I'm actually investing my energetic resources the best way that I feel that it's actually gonna make an impact.
And it's such a complex issue. I mean, obviously this is not a podcast about that, but it's so complex. It's so complex that
it's really multifactorial too.
Absolutely.
So you gotta actionate on a lot of things. But again, what are we ultimately doing? We are trying to raise awareness and consciousness overall, you know, and like it's the same thing. Like if you are more conscious, more aware of yourself, you normally try to have better health, to train, to get a little bit of movement, to be a more tolerant person, more understanding person, all the things that we always talk about, you know. And also, of course, sustainability and taking care of the planet and the place we live in and everything makes a part of it. So again, it's the same thing. We are actually fighting for that without having to talk about sustainability and the environment all the time. And by the way, we have also a podcast topic in our list that it's about environmental issues.
We'll
so we will eventually,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Gate 42.
Gate 42. That one is called Gate 42 of Growth. And that one is in the sacral, actually. and that one is activated consciously 2 times, like so twice. And this one, this one is gonna be funny for you. It makes you want to finish what you've begun. So it's growth through maximizing potential and then having a closure to the thing. So you don't like leaving things like opened, like unfinished.
I mean, that is so true. This is a problem that I have because I am even unable to start a task that I know I'm not going to be able to finish.
Yeah.
So that's a problem for my productivity because it means that like if I have half an hour and I'm like, I should edit this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but I'm not going to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, here it says, because that one is sacral energy, so foreign to us. And so it's your only gate in the sacral. If you see it.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So there it is, the bastard. And so
The one gate.
It has this energy and this power that like transforms into a commitment to follow anything all the way through to completion. And so if not, it feels off. So it's like, okay, if I'm not gonna finish, I'm not even starting. Or the thing that we were talking about the other day, for example, like when washing the dishes, it's like I have to do like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because if not, like, yeah, how could you imagine washing just a dish?
No.
For you, that would be like,
I mean, that makes no sense.
boom, you implosionate. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is the gate 42 of growth.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it's important also, like, for example, what you mentioned, if you know that about yourself, it's good that you can organize yourself in a way that you can follow through the thing up to completion, but at the same time knowing that it can lead to procrastination.
Yeah, exactly. So also knowing that, being aware, and when it's happening, be like, okay, this is what's happening right now. But it's okay. Like you can start this task. And
gate 60 of acceptance.
Exactly. And I have gotten better at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually really hard. But you know what? I think like also part of it is just because there's all these things that I do that require so much focus that I feel like when I break the focus, going back into that mode is so hard. Like editing a podcast, for example, it takes so much mental energy.
Projector.
You know? So like then having to stop and start again and get that momentum again, it's like.
Also because it feels really scary, like, will I be provided with the energy to go into it again so that I can start? And for you, it's not that tough because you have the root, you know. Imagine in my case, it's like.
Yeah. I've never kind of like looked at my chart enough, but it's interesting that I have so many activated gates in my root and only one in the spleen, only one in the. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. That's the thing. You are so energetically.
I'm actually very energetic.
Activated into the root, like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why I always call you like an energetic projector, because again, you have two motors, but like the root is really activated.
Yeah.
So this is a center of initiating. And
motion. I have the center for initiating and to finish stuff with gate 42. So
yeah.
But then I also have the gate of acceptance to accept myself when I don't finish.
Yeah, important.
Because I run out of energy.
No, important. You have to balance those aspects out.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And again, this is also a way of understanding how all those aspects interconnect in a reading, like in a chart, and how they can, like, so for example, see how when everything is in alignment, everything is gonna express itself lightfully. So gate of 60 of acceptance is gonna help you out with the shadow part of gate 42, but the other way around, it can turn like into deep dark mode, let's say, like really, really dark. So not starting anything, feeling bad about yourself, shaming you because of and it can become like an inner turmoil that really feels awful.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the potential. Okay, so
Gate 43.
back to it.
I know,
Say-
gate 42. We're still
No,
on it? Gate 43?
no, that's it. Like you gotta get things to completion. And then gate 43, which is here, is the gate of insight. This one wants to connect to the throat, though you don't have the whole channel that would be called the channel of structuring. That one is the one that
Yeah, I
connects,
definitely don't
the
have
asana
that.
to the throat.
I definitely don't have that. I try, but it just doesn't happen. I have so many thoughts in my head, and they're amazing.
Well,
And then trying to explain them is impossible.
you are defining
Oh
the gate.
my God.
Okay, so
Yes.
this is it. Okay, so that thing that happens is because of this gate. So now I'm gonna read it, and you. This is not prepared. Like we didn't prepare previously. I swear that she had no idea what I was going to say, and now that she said that, I'm gonna read my notes. Okay, so this one says conscious and subconscious, gate 43 of insight, and it says knowledge that is structured according to your own insight or inner voice goes through your own kind of like filter, let's say. I will say this later because that's another part of the thing, but it's awareness and knowing that understands itself. So it brings you insights out of nowhere, but you cannot share them because this gate is projected, and so you have to be recognized before sharing those. So it makes sense for you. You're like, and then it's like, how do I even explain this?
Exactly.
So
Yes, it's
yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I think about this so much. I would be so Instagram famous or TikTok famous if I had that channel defined. I would be fucking Vishen Lakiani. I'm not even joking. Like the things that happen in my brain and the ideas that I have, the thoughts that I have, the complex connections and like, and then I'm like, yeah, this is a great microphone. What? Like
This is so interesting.
it's so
now
frustrating
I would
because
love
I'm much.
to see if
I'm-
Vicen actually has that channel. I would love to see
he
that.
probably does.
He probably does.
He probably does. I am so smart, and I feel.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah,
I'm
like
so
yesterday we
smart.
were talking about this.
I'm
I was
so
like, of
smart.
course you are, baby.
And I feel like no one truly knows how smart I am.
I'm gonna do like yes the check for a second, but I wanna see if when you're with Matt you reach that. So I'm gonna do this for a moment. Like where are we? We're gonna see the composite relationship. Here you are.
No.
Uh,
Yes. No.
no,
Oh.
it's still not connecting. Okay, so you need someone else for that. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting.
If you're out there and you can complete my channel 43 to where?
I don't know if I have me and you here, but like maybe yeah here. No, neither us. We are in search for that person. Okay,
Yes.
so if you have gate 23 defined in your
Please
chat,
slide
let us
into our
know.
DMs.
Yeah,
We
because
need you.
Kimmy needs you like a lot. Okay, so now gate 43 of insight. So that's that is structured kind of knowing, and this is also interesting because it's like you get these insights. It's kind of a structure, so it's a process of conceptualizing in your mind and understanding things. And this is what it means when I say like it's an understanding by itself, so like of their own. So it's your awareness and knowing, but it has nothing to do with like the external world. It's just like yeah, it's there, like it's there, like oh, this knowledge, where does it come from? Like I don't know, it's not related to anything. It's like by itself, like of their own. But and again, and this is like your own insight, so your own inner voice. It's through your lens, and there can be knowledge, like real knowledge, like in society there or whatever, that inspires you something. But again, it's like through your lens, and that part is really important. The challenging part of this is that this gate of insight, it's also like what we can call it's deaf. So it's only interested, and this also represents you like a lot, it's only interested into what's interested in. So you are only interested into the things that you are actually interested in. If it's not interesting for you, like it's not interesting.
I mean,
so it's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
yeah.
Like you don't even listen to that. Like you don't even hear it. And so again, this channel is projected, so you have to be recognized before sharing. So when you get a really good insight about this or that, and if you want to share it, you have to be invited first. So this one takes a little bit of
I just
patience.
need to be invited for everything.
Yeah.
I'll just sit back and wait for invitations to happen.
So please invite us,
Please.
like a lot. And then finally, we have gate 56 of stimulation. That one is in the throat. And this one related also to the channel of the podcast, not exactly, but this one is called the channel, like also the gate of the storyteller. So this one has to do with the expression of ideas and also like past events told into a way that it's like they are stimulating stories. So you are an entertainer. You are really good at narrating stories. So the storyteller, that's why it's called like that kind of energy. Maybe you don't recognize yourself in that, do you? Okay, that's subconscious. That's why. Like you can see that.
Yeah.
But it's 2 times, like it's activated twice. So you are really good at narrating stories. You are really entertaining in that sense. But again, it's projected, so you have to be asked so that you can share the stories.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your frustration in life, baby.
It is, literally.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So those are my gates. This is a kind of chaotic episode. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's
it is
fine.
what it is.
Oh, there's more.
No, that's it. Okay, so now we've gone through your channels and your gates. How do you feel about all those?
Amazing.
It actually really defines you.
I mean, it totally defines me.
Yeah.
And if this is my gate of acceptance, I'm like, there's a lot of things I don't like about it, but it's okay.
There's a lot of things that why? Like, what do you like? What don't you like?
Like, it's not that I don't like the gates that I have. It's like I sometimes wish I had other ones.
Like you feel your struggle with your traits.
Yeah.
/ gifts.
Yeah.
/
But I need to tune into my gate 60 and accept.
But not only.
And flow.
The thing is, like
I just need to flow more. I think I'm so I've just been so conditioned. I'm going to say it again because I need to say it in every podcast. I grew up surrounded by generators and manifesting generators. At this point, I just need to say it because for you, that's not the case, for example.
It's not.
You grow up, your mom is a projector and your dad and your brother are manifestors. So,
in fact, the poor one in my family, it's my sister Rocío, because she is a manifesting generator. And of course, like she doesn't get the vibe, the pace, the chaotic.
Yeah, in fact, you all live together except her.
Yeah.
She was like, peace, bitches. Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah. I think we've all felt like that at certain moments. Like, I need to get out of here.
Oh yeah.
Because like my house is like deep crazy. Like, it's like crazy.
You guys are crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I think that I'm just.
But at least we are not energetic types.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So I've just been so conditioned. I'm still in the process of deconditioning a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm getting much better. I'm getting much better at like listening more to myself, respecting my timings, learning how to listen, flowing more, trusting more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been this whole journey. It's what needed to happen for me to.
You're in that process also, baby, and like you are becoming more and more powerful at it every day, and like I think you are also doing it better and better, and you're feeling already like the results, let's say, of all that. Like it becomes easier and easier. I see it. Do you see it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I see it a lot. Like I see you vibing in another way, like and more yourself.
Flowing, not forcing.
Flowing, not forcing.
Flowing,
so important. Yeah, so important.
That should be the tagline of everything, of Kimmy. The tagline of Kimmy is flowing, not forcing.
Yeah, like a lot. That applies to everyone. Every energy type and everything. Yeah. Everything.
Because and also like who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to feel like they're flowing, not forcing?
Yeah. Yeah, it feels
You know?
awful to be forcing all the time.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
yeah,
variables. This is such a fun part.
this is such a fun part. It's one of the like the chill part.
Yeah.
Okay? Like okay, now let's relax. So what's it with variables? This is important. Like the variables are the arrows that you see around your head. They may be facing left or they may be facing right. All of them, or like one to the left and another to the right. Da, 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 da. And so these ones actually are like, I like to call them like deeper layers of human design, in the sense of like, normally this is not the first part that you will start working with or like actionating upon, because what we always say, like you gotta align with a strategy, authority, your energy type and their needs, and like all that kind of thing first, so that everything starts aligning and falling into place. But now, like for optimal, or even like if you want to enhance more and more your system, these ones are key for that. Like you can really actually put yourself into much more, let's say, fertile ground if you actually also align with these ones. So in your particular case, the first thing that we are gonna talk about is the definition. So definition is like if your energy flows all together without interruption in your chart or not. So there are, for example, people that has all these energy flowing together. That's what we call a single definition. But in your particular case, because you have two different centers, as the people that may be watching can see, because you have these three centers connected in the bottom part of your chart, and then you have your yi connected to your throat. So that's two energetic centers, like separated centers.
Yeah.
That's what we call a split definition. In your particular case, it's a split definition that it's double. So you have two energetic centers. You can have triple or other types. So that means, and we are going to see that here, that means that you may feel a kind of push-pull contradiction kind of sense between your different centers. So for example, as we saw, the prodigal channel has everything to do with community, sharing experiences and stories and everything. So it's much more like, and it's about you and yourself and expressing yourself. And then there's like this push with like, but there's all this ambition and desires and da 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 da. And so one thing is pulling in one direction, one thing is pulling in the other direction, or it might feel that way. This is really subconscious. So you don't actually get to feel that like a lot of times, but it can happen that way. So as if you had two different directions in your life that are sometimes pulling or pushing into different directions. But the thing is, you can get this pull into different directions, but at the same time, it gives you so much like richness. So again, this is something that's happening again in your design. So it's providing you with different kind of like feelings and experiences about it. So
we love that. We love that.
And then heading to your cognition, you have a cognition that is called feeling cognition. So cognition is like your strongest sense, let's say, into human design. Yeah.
It's feeling?
Yeah.
Wow. What a surprise.
It has to do like with a superpower. Like it's kind of like a superpower of like a kind of subtle way of sensing things around you, if they are right or not for you, da 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 da. So for example, I've got a taste one, like you can have a smell one, or in your particular case it's feeling. So again, it's like about feeling. So this person gives me like a vibe, like a feeling, like
this is like
this place.
Yeah.
So it's like
that this one it's so strong.
Yeah.
It's so strong. I have immediate like feelings about people, for example.
Yeah.
And up to this point, I'm 34 years old. I have never been wrong.
Yeah. So you always get it right. Yeah, feeling. So again, like
even if it takes time for the truth to come out.
Yeah, but now tell me it's not your superpower. So embrace it. Like it's not casual that it's feeling. And now digestion. So for audience out there, like digestion is like your top left arrow, and it can be pointing right or to the left. So as a general, so that you know, right facing arrows are, it's like more feminine energy, understood like as feminine like energies.
yes, not
So,
feminine
like gender
like a
roles.
girl,
No, yeah.
but feminine like as in a feminine energy. It
yeah.
flows more.
Yeah,
It's more
flexible,
flexible,
fluid, you know, like
fluid.
water, like a river, like
Yeah.
it flows and it receives mainly. So that's the thing. And then masculine energies are like more focused, more structured, more like active, like pursuing energies, you see. So it's something more like
what a surprise. All of my arrows are facing right.
yeah. So you are what we call like a quadrite. And so it's also said that left energies are more like old paradigmed in that sense, and right facing arrows are more like striving for the change. So more flexibility, more fluidity. You need that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it happens in all of your different variables. So starting by digestion, this one is called digestion because it has to do with how you digest food, but like not only food, also information, life, like life information, let's say.
Yeah.
So it keep in mind that these are all like physiological kind of aspects, but are like physiological and metaphorical at the same time.
Yeah. For example, maybe you tell me if you think this is correct. Something that, for example, for me isn't a big problem is if someone gives me a task, for example, at work, someone's like, Kimmy, do this. If you don't tell me how to do it, you don't need to give me a lot of structure or a lot of information for me to do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm very like, cool. I'm very go with the flow.
Yeah.
I'm very, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm very flexible. I'm a very good teammate because I roll with the punches, for example. I'm very like, good, we're going to figure this out. Don't worry. Like I don't need a lot of like Excel sheets and bullshit like that. I'm like,
yeah, whatever.
We'll figure it out. Like it's all good, you know. And also, and that goes back as well to like my projectedness. Like I trust my instinct. I trust my feeling. Like I know the right way. I don't need like an Excel sheet, you know. So
yeah, you don't need that structure and that order. Like in fact, for example, we get, because this one has to do with brain function. That's why it has to do with diet and how we digest live information and food digestion. So it's all together. And it has to do also with like the everyday routines.
Yes. I hate
schedules. Timetables. Like to-do list.
No. Yes. No.
List of tasks and like having to do the check and like all that kind of thing. So for example, I'm a projector, but I have this arrow facing left. And I used to think that I hate order, but in fact, I need a certain kind of structure so that I can better function. Yeah. So, for example, this one is more fluid about, like, for example, timetables and schedules having to do with when and how do you eat. So it's like depending on how I feel. So that's the thing. It's like, and in your particular case, depending on how you feel. So because other people will have another, you know, like other authorities or other ways of tuning into when their bodies are hungry or not, and But in your particular case, it's like, I feel like eating now and this. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling like eating now. Okay, good. Like, so what does feel good for you at this particular moment? Or I had this plan for today at this time, but I'm not feeling like that, so I'm gonna do something different. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Again, you don't need that kind of like super rigid structure to go with it. So that's the passive digestion. And in particular, you have this kind of digestion. So that is called nervous touch. So this one is that you digest better, like everything, when you are in a bustling kind of environment. So there's energy around you, like there's things happening. So you have to have like, it's also called a stimulant touch. So you have to be stimulated. And there's like a lot of ways that you can have that. Like, for example, if you are at home and you are alone, but maybe you can have the TV on.
Yeah.
And
I love like eating, watching something.
Or maybe like moving around.
And you know how, and that's funny because you know how this is like watching something while eating is like this big no-no in the mindfulness community.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you. Like, This is
Yeah.
what works for me. If you don't
Yeah.
want to do it, don't do it. But don't make me feel like a terrible human being because I like watching Netflix while I eat my food.
That's why we sometimes recommend things without actually knowing the information.
Yeah.
And so that might be super good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Also,
Also,
not the most fitting thing for you.
and that doesn't mean that I can't enjoy that in like an exercise mode of like, okay, now I'm gonna like sit in front of this food and I'm gonna, like that's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
But this idea of like, no, every meal needs to be like,
No, and again, like, that's a different thing. So, for example, for you, it's a stimulant. So, if today I'm choosing having this experience this way, like really mindfully and whatever, and that can be a stimulant by itself for you. So, for you, that makes sense too. Also, in fact, I'm so like this with the environmental arrows and like the variables in general, that it's like there's like this overall or general understanding of what this means, but actually, how does it resonate with you? So what does a stimulant touch mean for you? Or so, for example, maybe if you're with a person that you like eating really nearby that person and not having a lot of space or whatever. Or instead of the television, one day can be, I don't know, like for example, music or whatever, or like maybe looking through the window so that you can see the people passing by. Like if you're eating alone in a place, maybe you eat better like watching people pass by, but like stimulant.
Yeah.
Stimulant environment. So that's the thing. Again, so for example, your digestive theme is sensitive to how the environment affects your emotional state. Again, emotions. And your body prefers to be excited. Eating in a lively, stimulating environment is ideal. Your body needs stimulation and activity during meals. You can eat in noisy, crowded places, on the go. So, for example, in a market, and I grab this thing and I go in the market, and like all this bustling environment, like that excites me. Again, excitement. So, this kind of thing.
Excitement.
It's not related at all with all the other things that we saw before. You see?
No, it's completely separate, not related at all. We're being sarcastic. Okay. Next, environment. I love this one. This one is so interesting. I think of all the variables, this one is, I think, the most cool.
Yeah, I think because it's easy to identify yourself with it a lot of the times. So it's like the most accessible one, let's say.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of the times. It's like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So this one has to do with the body and the mind on the long term. So if digestion has to do more like with the quotidian daily routines, for example, and how do I digest information, food info, like in this precise moment. Environment is a little bit like expanded in the time, so expand the time frame or like the timeline, and that's environment. So it has to do also with longevity, also like the physical places and the life path. So if I put myself into the environment that I am wired with, it's probable that I'm gonna attract much more opportunities and much easier to me.
Okay. Tell me about wide valleys.
Okay, so you have a passive environment, and this means that you need your environment to, like, not to make you excited, but like to match your energy levels, whatever that means, because for example, you're a projector, that's a different energy level than a manifesting generator. So the active environment, it's more about transforming the environment. So actionating and having like an interconnection or interrelation with environment. But in your case, because it's passive, it's more about like my environment, something that has to match that energy of me. Okay. And then you have the particular environment of wide valleys. So this one has to do like being, and there are narrow valleys and there are wide valleys. So for example, a narrow valley could be like a narrow street where there's a lot of things happening around and everything, but it's like narrow. Like, so for example, Callejón Diagon in Harry Potter or something like that. But wide valleys is more like a wide valley. Like you need open space, open air. But at the same time, you need to be like on the bustling place where everything is happening, and then things like grow up around that. So for example, Central Park in Manhattan would be a perfect example of a wide valleys environment. So it's like I get like all this, open air and like green and and people are, you know, in the park with the bicycle and with the dog and running and doing exercise and whatever, and then the city is all building up from there. So that's the white valleys environment. So that applies to everything. That's like, again, a physical, tangible environment like that. Then, for example, a co-working. So you would feel your best probably down there where the things are happening, in the middle where you can get a little bit of the feel of like all the things around you. And it's really different from, for example, a caves environment, who will be probably
in a corner.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
See, so it has to do with that. You are always looking for your white valleys environment in everything. Okay, yeah. Then you have the awareness or motivation, and this one has to do with how you receive, process, and give back information again. And I think you used to struggle more with this one, but I don't think that you do that much anymore, because you remember that you used to tell me that in order for you to feel confident when you were, for example, going to give a speech or whatever, like you need to prepare so much and like know your stuff before that. But actually your awareness, which is also receptive, so right facing, means that you digest better information. So for example, studying for an exam, you're more like picking here and here and here and here and here, and then collecting like all the things, how you feel about them, and then putting it all together so that you can give it back that way. But the thing is, a lot of people that have receptive awareness struggle a lot with feeling that they have a way of communicating that it's understandable for others. Because for telling this story that goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, for example, they will be like 8, so then 2, and 3, and then 1, and 2, 3, 4, back to 7, or, and so it's like, that's gonna be a mess, nobody's gonna understand, because they have this way of going through things in a different kind of all through the space kind of way. And so a lot of you struggle with accepting that kind of way of understanding and giving back information. And so a lot of times you tend to over prepare and try to have a rigid frame where you're like, okay, this way I'm gonna be understandable. But the thing is, like, actually trusting that your flow, it's gonna provide the people with the thing that they actually resonate with, is really important.
Wow, I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important either you have a defined throat or an undefined throat, because it's important in both cases. Really important in both cases. So this one is a really interesting one to work with. If you have a right facing awareness arrow and you struggle with that, it's important working with your trust into the whatever comes to my mind in that moment is the right thing to share. Although I feel like I'm going to Mars to come back to Madrid, like it doesn't matter, it's good.
Yeah.
And then finally, the perspective, or like also known as the vision. This one is your unique perspective and point of view, and it has to do also with manifestation. So when you are a right-facing arrow, you are what we call a non-specific manifestor. And if you are left-facing arrow, we are what we call a specific manifestor. So focused perspective or peripheral perspective. And then related to that, so focused perspective would be a specific manifestor, and peripheral perspective would be a non-specific manifestor. So that's what you are. And that's the thing. And this one I always like also emphasizing a lot. I'm also a non-specific manifestor. So the thing is, like, the usual, like the mainstream tips, it's like, be as specific as you can in your manifestation processes or whatever, like vision boards, dream boards, what color do you want the car? It's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what color the car is. There are sometimes where there are certain details of the vision that you have for yourself are really, really clear, but like, it's more of like a feeling, it's more of like a mood, it's more of like a vibe. So it would be like the contrast between a mood board versus a vision board, or a dream board. So it's not something super specific, it's more of like, what kind of vibe this gives me. Yeah. You see? So it's more about that. And so there's no information out there on how to manifest for non-specific manifestors, like not a lot. And so we are sometimes so confused because we don't really resonate with that of like vision car, red, or, black, like I don't know. And it has this component, again, this component of trust. So what if the universe plan it's better than my own imagination?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's exactly that. To me, it feels so limiting. Like,
Yeah.
wait a second. No, I don't want, because what if I think of the wrong thing?
Yeah, like if it's like, why would I choose if it's Barbados or Marrakech? Like, I don't know. Let life surprise me. Like, I only know, like, for example, that my home is gonna feel amazing. Like, it's gonna have this cozy, cookie smelling vibe or something like that. So for each person,
Yeah.
it's something different. It's like, I want it to smell like cookies, and you don't know if it's because like you remember that because your grandma made cookies. I don't know, but like, you know, 1, 2, 3, or maybe like, yeah, like little details, super specific, that's like, oh, this is important to me.
Yeah.
But the rest, it's like a vibe, it's general, I don't know. And it's good not knowing, and it's good, like, you know, like going deep into the vibe instead of like the specifics for the non-specific manifestors. Okay,
Yes. We need to do a workshop about non-specific manifestation.
yeah, absolutely. And that would be super fun. And then we have lastly, like last but not least, the incarnation cross. And this is a really interesting part of the reading always, but the thing is, like, it's not the most actionable part of human design, because it's more like if you are in alignment and you are doing the thing as you should, this is gonna be like manifesting through
Into
you.
life.
So you are gonna recognize yourself more and more with this, especially from 50s on. You're gonna see that you are actually living your incarnation cross. So this one has to do with your life purpose. So it kind of tells you like, how do you interrelate with life? So what are you here to do in that particular sense? But like, it doesn't mean this is like your mission, but it has to do with your life purpose. So you are gonna kind of construct or build your vision through these two. And it's funny because your incarnation cross has a lot to do with you, or like your character, your personality, all these things. This is the thing, like, you cannot actually actionate on your incarnation cross.
It just is.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, if you are in alignment, you're gonna see that much more and probably earlier. So it's a little bit like that.
Okay.
And so your incarnation cross, it's the left angle cross of limitation. And this one has to do with like, you put limits upon others so that things head into a better direction. So it has everything to do with your design, the channels that we've seen, and all these kind of things. And it represents you so much because it annoys you so much to, like, these people don't understand this and this and that or that. But again, it's really projected in a way. So you have to put those limits from a place where you've
been
actually
asked
Yeah,
to.
you've been asked.
Or been put in a position that you're able to put those limitations.
Yeah,
I can't just
yeah.
walk around being like, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that's it. And with that,
Wow.
we finally wrap it up. So that's you.
Wow. High five, friend.
How did
Wow.
you feel? Like,
Yeah,
it's weird to have it like in 3 parts.
Yes.
Like, normally it's not so extended and extensive and slow, but
yeah,
we've
but
covered
it was
lot.
fun.
Yeah,
It was fun, and
it
I thought it was great. Yeah, I'm really glad that we did it this way, because I think we got to go really deep in some stuff and have some cool conversations. I love my gates and my channels. And yeah, I think the variables are so fun, you know? So yeah, now it's just like revisiting it again and again, you know? And like you always say, living the experiment, and observing, and
like,
being,
this is the knowledge. Now it's,
yeah,
okay, what does this actually mean for me in my everyday life?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing. Thanks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this series.
I love you, by the way. You're so amazing in each and every aspect.
Wow. Thanks.
Let me say that.
It's nice when you have friends like Viki. Well, thank you for joining us for this series. We really hope that it was insightful and that you learned a bit more about the things that you can learn during your reading. If you do want to get a reading, book a session. Book a discovery session.
The best part is not even the reading. I am the best part.
Yes,
you get to have 2 full hours of me.
Yes.
Through Zoom.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little bit intense.
But in a good way.
Yeah. Maybe not recommended to people prone to heart attack or things like that.
Wow. We should have a warning sign.
Yeah.
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 Anyway. That's
No, I'm
it.
super soft.
Join us. Join the Kimmy squad. Get a reading. It's amazing. You won't regret it. It's so insightful and incredible to remember.
Yeah. Remember.
And remember to give us 5 stars.
And subscribe.
Share.
All these things.
Yes. Subscribe.
Do your part.
Yes, exactly. We do our part. We're here every week doing our part.
Commitment,
Look at us.
guys.
This day has been intense.
Yeah.
We've been here for hours.
Yeah.
So do your part. Share, comment, review, and we'll see
How
you.
do other people say, like, help us continue providing this excellent kind of content?
Exactly.
All these kind of things. Yeah.
Yes. And we'll see you
On the
next point.
on the map.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Nice job, baby.